What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? This is your girl in knowledge, diva in knowledge at that. Lady Mocha representing Mocha's Ladies Lounge. Hope all of you ladies are having a good day today. I know this live was unexpected. I'm gonna make sure. Well, I don't have a community tab here yet because my subscribers have not increased as of just yet enough in order for me to get a community tab like I have on my other channel. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody so far is having a good week. May God continue to bless you, uplift you. If you're having an unpleasant week, just stay encouraged. You don't know how God is going to turn things around when you least expect it. So, nevertheless, I put this on my community tab that I really, really wanted to do a live on this particular case that occurred. I would say it happened during 1991. Let me tell y'all something. If y'all have not seen this movie, I really, really suggest, especially women, to see this movie. It's a really, really good movie. The older version of the Betty Broderick story. It is a Lifetime movie. They actually have it on YouTube. So if you put in Betty Broderick, there is still the old version of the Betty Broderick story. It's actually two series because it was so much that had transpired in such a within a longevity of years and within this case. So it had to be split up within 2 years. So if you go on YouTube, they have part one, A Woman Scorned, the Betty Broderick story. That's part one. And you can also view part two, the Betty Broderick story, part two, her final fury, in which led her to actually murder her ex-husband and his current wife. So if you view the movie, you would definitely have a better understanding, a full understanding on this topic that I'm talking about. It'll register with you well. Now, interestingly enough, Netflix also came out with a redo of the movie, the Betty Broderick story. But Netflix, they have a series called the Dirty John series, which means any incident in which women have been used, manipulated, whatever, different stories surrounding women in that situation. They actually have a series called the Dirty John series. So you will also see that the Betty Broderick story is also in the Dirty John series on Netflix. So I think you'll probably like that one better because it's more up to date. But I do like both. I do like the Lifetime Betty Broderick story, part one and part two. But I also do like how Netflix redid the series of Betty Broderick, Dirty John. Either way, both series are good. I promise y'all, it is so worth looking at. Now, if you are a woman, you're still in a vengeful state of mind when it comes to your ex-husband, or maybe a man really did you wrong, you might not want to watch the series. It may spark back some old feelings, some old anger, old animosity. So just make sure you have your feelings in check when you're watching this series. So anyway, I want to talk about the Betty Broderick story. This was one of the stories that I really feel was one of the most realistic, not because of the fact that it was a real crime that took place, that there was real lives that was lost, but the fact that as a woman, you can put so much into a man, you can put so much into your family that you tend to lose yourself. And the only dangerous part is that you have some women that just worship their husbands, they worship their families, and then when something goes wrong or things go left and they basically don't have nothing else to fall back on because their world was surrounded around their husbands and their children, they pretty much get lost. What's up, my Sassir? Yep, I have been working a lot. I totally get it. So that's why I always leave the playback on, because I get it. People work, they have schedules and stuff. So no big issue. I totally get it, but it's definitely good to see you come into the chat because I'm sure you can probably relate to this movie. I don't know if you've seen it, the Betty Broderick story, but it's a really, really good movie, man. This woman, she had been married, I would say, for 15 years. She was married for 15 years to her husband at the time. And during the duration of their marriage, she really stood by him. She supported him. She had all of his children. She supported him while he was going to doctor. He was going to, I think, to become a dentist. Yeah, he actually went to school to become a dentist, and he also went to school to become a lawyer. And she held him down while he was able to go to school all those years and better himself, and put him and her in a position in which they and their children would never want for nothing. So and that's your job. I feel as a wife has a role and a husband has a role. When it comes to you, both of you coming together and building a marriage, that is the purpose of building a marriage. You're supposed to build a legacy together, and with your children, your grandchildren, your great grandchildren, they can benefit from the foundation that the both of you build together and upon each other. But what this dude did, which was really sleazy on him, he waited all of these years while this woman stood by him while he was going to school to become a dentist and become a lawyer. And all of us know when it comes to school, that takes years. That's not like something you can go to for like a month or two and you graduate and you get your degree. It's years. And let's be honest, you don't make no money when you go to college. You don't make no money. You're not getting no checks. Especially back then, they probably didn't have financial aid and all this other stuff. But let's just face it, most people who are in college, they be struggling. So you're not getting no income. So you could only imagine how much they struggle, before he saw the fruits of his labor, before his success, the benefits came into fruition. They probably struggled a lot. She probably had to scrape up meals for the kids while he went to college. She probably had to, do loans, probably had to help him pay loans on paying for his college tuition. It's a lot that husbands and wives go through to support each other. And that's just the sacrifice that comes along with being married. So just to give y'all a breakdown scenario of the timeline as to what made it get to a point in which she felt it was necessary to murder him and turn around and murder his wife. Not taking into consideration how her children would be affected by it. And a lot of people had a lot of mixed feelings about the Betty Broderick case. Even though this happened during the early 90s, you had some people who felt like she was wrong. They looked at her like the bitter woman, the scorned woman. You're just angry because you old, you fat now. He no longer wants you. You had people who looked at it that way. And then you have other people who said, oh, absolutely not. She was right for feeling the way she felt. She'd been with him all of these years. After she got old, after she put on weight, he traded her in after she stood by him through all of those years. Once he got successful, he starts having an affair with his secretary, which was younger and prettier. And I'm going to bring up the pictures because when I show y'all that the new wife looked so similar to how Betty Broderick looked back in her younger days, it's very eerie. It's almost like he replaced his wife with a more newer, younger version of what she could no longer be for him. So this was a very, very interesting story. It was definitely very shocking. One of the biggest cases, which is the reason why the movies based on this event was so popular, because it actually happened in real life. You know what I mean? And to this day, Betty Broderick is still in prison. She's 74 years old. Of course, all of her children are grown. They are married and have families of their own. And Betty Broderick is, still serving time. And it's unfortunate that she's going to spend her golden years in prison. She's not going to spend her golden years around her grandkids, baking cookies for her grandkids, or making a what they call it, when you make a garden in your yard, things that women her age should be able to enjoy and do at the age of 74. She's not going to be able to do that. It's unfortunate that she may very well die. No, I got her age wrong. She's 74 years old. She's 74 years old. So she's way up in her age. And they basically gave her 32 years to life in prison. I think her kids have been trying to fight to get her out, but they haven't been successful at doing that. But anyway, we're going to break down the timeline as to how a woman could get to this point in her life in which she felt it was necessary to take the life of her ex-husband and his current wife. So let's break down all of the scenarios that led up to this, because again, everybody didn't watch this movie, and it's basically to give an incentive on what happens as a woman when you put so much into a man and you put so much into your family. You don't have nothing established for yourself, and many women who have done this end up lost. They get distraught when that man turns over a new leaf and says, you know what, I'm no longer attracted to you. I no longer want to be with you. And that's a very devastating slap in the face to a woman who's been dedicated to her husband for all of those years, only for him to turn around and want to trade her in for somebody younger, who didn't have to go through near as much, who didn't have to make no sacrifices. Okay, so my sincere, never put a man's goals before yours ever. You better have it before you get it to me. I've seen this happen to too many women. We can't wait on kids until we are both where we need to be. Absolutely. Women, I see a lot, and it's a lot of women who still do it, my sincere. Their whole life revolves around just their kids and just their man. I know some women, they don't even have friends. I know some women who don't even deal with their own family. Their world just centers around their husbands and their children, and everything else outside of it is irrelevant. And I understand there's nothing wrong with treasuring your family, but when you worship your family, you worship your kids, you think your husband can never let you down, you think your kids can never let you down, you set yourself up for disappointment. And you have women who refuse to establish something for themselves. They won't even start a simple business, or just do something simple, just selling dinners, or like I said, working part-time. Do something other than just wait on your husband hand and foot and wait on your children, because children get grown, they move out, and in some cases these kids start smelling themselves. They start acting like you're not that important anymore, and it's very devastating. Again, if you are a woman who have put so much into a man and your kids, and that's all you got going for you. So this is what ended up happening, y'all. So to give y'all a brief little scenario, Betty Broderick was convicted of murdering her ex-husband Daniel Broderick III and his wife Linda Kolkena, which her last name changed, of course, Linda Broderick, on November 5th, 1989. So this happened during the late 80s. Okay, now ironically, Betty Broderick, her birthday is November 7th as mine. And I will tell you something, us Scorpio women, we are the worst to piss off. We have a sting like no other. I tell you, Betty Broderick is the epitome of Scorpion women. She's a prime example of how poisonous our venom is, depending on what level you take us to piss us off. And I just find that ironic that her birthday is November 7th, just like mine. That is just so crazy, y'all. I didn't even know till I started doing this live that me and Betty Broderick have the same exact birthday, November 7th. Oh my gosh, that explains a lot why Betty Broderick is so off the chain. So doing a little timeline on how what transpired, what led up to this point. First things first, how what were their backgrounds, what were their family structure, a lot of where a person comes from, and the way they were raised, their upbringing has a lot to do with their personality. Now, Daniel Broderick, he was born in Pittsburgh in 1941, and he's the oldest of 9 children. Daniel's father, which would have been Betty's father-in-law, raised his children in a very strict and stern household. Betty, on the other hand, she was the third of 6 children born to an Irish American mother and an Italian American father. She grew up in Eastchester, New York. So both of them came from pretty decent backgrounds, you know, for the most part. Doesn't sound like anything way too dysfunctional. So 1965, Daniel and Betty met at a party as undergraduates. Now, keep in mind, Daniel was 21 years old at this time, and Betty was 17. So, 18, 19, there's a 4 or 5 year difference or whatever. So they met at a party in Indiana where Betty, she was just there to travel to see a Notre Dame football game. So basically, Dan introduced himself to her by writing Daniel T. Broderick III, MDA, on a napkin, and he passed it to her. At the time, Dan was a medical student at Cornell University, and Betty was studying education at the College of Mount St. Vincent in the Bronx. So they dated on and off until Betty graduated with a degree in early childhood education. Dan never once wavered from his goal of making me his wife. He would wait, he would do and say whatever was necessary, even agreeing with me when he didn't, and doing things I wanted him to do when he did it until he had me. So basically, like a lot of these dudes do in the beginning, they basically kiss your ass. They act like they so crazy about you, they so into you. So they pretty much go along with everything you kind of want. You know, we've all been there, you know what I mean? Because at this point in time, Dan was trying to really win Betty Broderick over. Now, keep in mind, she's this pretty, blonde, slim, and Dan kind of was like a square. He was like a Poindexter square type of guy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, his reputation showed up. So, you know, he basically acted like a little puppy, you know, trying to win the attention of Betty over. So, basically, he did everything she wanted him to do. All right. And that's what made her kind of fall for him. So, April 1969, Daniel and Betty tied the knot. They got married. April 12, 1969, Dan and Betty were married in an elaborate ceremony at a church in Tuckahoe, New York. Leading up to the wedding, and Daniel and Betty's mother fought over his outfit. Okay, so evidently there was a little power struggle between Betty Broderick and Daniel Broderick's mother, to the point they were bickering over his outfit, what type of tuxedo he should wear for his wedding. So it already kind of tells you Betty Broderick was kind of like a control freak in a sense. You feel me? To the point that, you know, she was even trying to overstep his mother's boundaries. You know what I mean? But again, it was her wedding day, so usually the bride is supposed to pretty much have whatever she wants, however. Upon returning from the Caribbean honeymoon, the couple moved into Daniel's middle school dorm at Cornell. Betty noted the immediate changes in the relationship dynamics. During dating, I had my own money, my own car. I lived with my parents, but I had some freedom. Afterwards, he was in charge of everything. The bank books, my paychecks. I more or less had to do what he said. So basically, and we see this happen a lot, once he married her, now the tables had turned. Now he started controlling things. Okay, now that he had her in his possession, like most women who get married, sometimes you move away from family because you're so in love. Your husband say, let's go move to another city and start from scratch, and this and that, blah blah blah. You know how these men will talk you into moving away from your own territory. because they want you to have full control. But that's what happened, my sister. The tables turned. Once he got her, instead of her keeping that same tempo, since she already had him like putty in her hands, he did that pillow talk, that sweet pillow talk, you know, when y'all laying in bed at night and y'all just have some good, hot, steamy sex, and you know you bust a few, and you know something about when you climax, it just makes you agree to shit that you shouldn't even be agreeing to. So you know he did that pillow talk. You know, baby, you know, I feel like, you know, we need to start our own journey. We need to move into a new state where your family isn't there and my family isn't there, and we need to start a life of our own, you know, where we can raise our children on our own. You know, they do that sweet ass pillow talk after y'all done bust a nut or two. And it's like, okay, well, you know what? I think we should do that. I think we should move somewhere else and start a fresh start, because after all, I've been born and raised here all my life. And, you know, I need to broaden my horizon. So basically, Mr. Broderick, he talked Betty out of living where she was born and raised. And basically, once he got her away from her environment where she was used to running and regulating and having a say so, he flipped the script. So he started being in control of the money and the paychecks, all of that. So, you know, is what's going to start happening when the tables turn and power goes into the other spouse's hands, especially when they have never had the upper hand. So 1970, Betty gave birth to their first child, Kimberly. Kimberly was born, and let me see, because that she was pregnant 9 times in 10 years. So she's basically put a lot into this marriage. She's been pregnant 9 times in 10 years. So that means every year she was pregnant from her husband, which righteously she has that right. When you're married, that's the beauty of marriage. You're supposed to be able to have as many children as you and your husband desire to have together. Now, so they had their first child. That was 1970. 1971, Mr. Broderick began law school, and the couple's second daughter, Lee, was born. So after graduating from Cornell with a medical degree, Daniel decided to attend Harvard Law School and combine both areas of expertise in a career as a medical malpractice attorney. And so the family relocated to Massachusetts from New York. While he studied, Betty supported the family with odd jobs, teaching gigs, and she sold Avon and Tupperware. Lee, the second daughter, was born in July 1971. So, as you can imagine, Mr. Broderick is very ambitious at this time. This man is going to school, which is very, very impressive. He's going to school juggling 2 different hats. He's going to become a medical malpractice attorney. And he's also going to become the 2 different things. He was getting a medical degree, and he also combined it with other areas of expertise in a career. So he was doing a lot, you know what I mean? I could only imagine as a wife, you know what I mean? Dealing with a man that is that ambitious. He probably studied a lot. He probably was gone a lot. He probably was extremely focused. And 9 times out of 10, when a man is extremely focused on something, he tends to neglect other things. That's the curse and a blessing of being with a man that's very ambitious. And ambitious men, once they focus on a goal, they let nothing stop them. If anytime you are in a situation with a man that's very ambitious, it's pretty much a blessing in a sense, because that means he really wants something out of life, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to make sure he builds a foundation and a legacy for his family. So before we drag this man, we got to give him props that he was that dedicated, because that had to be very hard. Hell, just going to school doing criminal justice, just one major was a lot for me. So this man was doing law school, you know, and becoming a medical malpractice attorney. That's a lot. So the man, he was very smart. He was very determined. And while he was on his goal, while he was on a mission, and being the ambitious man that he is, his wife, Betty Broderick, she held him down. She took smart little gigs. You know, she couldn't work no major jobs. When you have a man that's in college, getting all type of degrees, you can't work a regular job, especially if you got kids. So Betty had to keep the kids. She did her part as a wife, keeping the kids, doing little odd jobs, Avon and Tupperware, because she has all this confidence in Danielle Broderick. This is her husband. This is the father of her children. So any woman that's a real wife, that's what you do. You hold your husband down, because you know all his hard work is going to pay off in the long run. You know all of this energy he's putting into his college degrees in the college. You know it's all in the end going to be a blessing for you and for him. So as a wife, she was doing what she needed to do to hold him down while he went to school all of those years, okay? So February 1973, the couple's third child, a son, his very first son, a blessing to be able to give a man his first son. That's just something every woman pretty much desires. Every wife desires to give her husband that first, heir in the family, which is his first son. So Betty went into labor with their third child. Dan was away skiing with his friends. He was angry at me for ruining the first ski trip he had been able to take for years. Betty wrote, now she wrote this in her book, so I got to take it with a grain of salt. But nevertheless, their son died soon after being born. So she had a miscarriage. So I'm sure that pretty much put a dampen on her marriage. Whenever a married couple loses a child, it does affect the marriage. He's angry, you're angry, both of you are angry, but really miscarriages is something that doctors to this day still can't decipher why some children just don't successfully make it as you are carrying them through birth. I've experienced that type of pain, and it's one thing I would never wish on my worst enemy. I was only down like to a month of some change. I thought I had passed. I had got through the worst, the most sensitive trimester, only to be told that I had miscarried my child. So I could only imagine what Betty was going through. And at the same time, men, they have feelings too. So I'm sure it bothered him. And I agree with my sister. She probably was very stressed out, trying to hold him down, hold down the kids. It took a toll on her, and it probably did affect her being able to have a healthy pregnancy. Later that year, Betty attempted suicide for the first time. She felt totally trapped with him. And mind you, she had cut off her whole family because he gave her that pillow talk about, I want us to build a life together. I'm going to go to school to become a doctor and a lawyer. So, of course, at this point, with her miscarriage and still having to be a wife, still having to hold it down, she felt trapped. She felt cut off from her family, and she just wanted to escape from it all. And I think the death of her son, her first baby boy, that definitely put the nail in the coffin, where she just really just wanted to end her life at that time. She was 23 years old, and she couldn't face decades more of feeling just non-existent. You feel me? So, nevertheless, 1975, the Brodericks relocated to California, and Daniel began work as a medical malpractice lawyer. So the fruits of the labor are finally paying off, ladies. It's finally paying off. We'll think after all the trials and tribulations, now Mr. Broderick has finally accomplished his goal as a medical malpractice lawyer. 2 years after Dan completed a clerkship in LA in 1973, the Brodericks made the move to the West Coast permanent. Daniel landed a position at San Diego's Gray Carey firm. Gray Carey ended up being the end all and be all of our lives. All of my friends were wives and children of attorneys, every single one. So understand that as a wife, once you marry an attorney or a doctor, you end up going into a whole nother world in which you're going to be around other doctors and lawyers who have wives as well. So basically, you only associate and you only affiliate with women who also have husbands that are on the same, who are in the same, social scene, So basically, this was new for Betty Broderick. This is a new life. You got these bougie friends. You stay in a big old beautiful home. This is a new world for her now. She's seeing how all of this work, hard work that Daniel has, progressed over the years. Now she's slowly but surely going into the life of being the what they call it, the Itchy-loin housewives. I ain't talking about no Atlanta housewives. That's not being a real housewife, okay? I don't know what them hoes over there got going. I'm talking about a real housewife where you ain't had to do a goddamn thing but take care of your kids and cook, clean. Your husband provided and did everything else. That's what being a real housewife was. So she got exposed to this new world once her husband moved to California, and she's in a different lifestyle as an Itchy-loin housewife. The family moved into a house in the Coral Reef neighborhood of San Diego. That year, Betty got the first of 2 abortions. So again, she's struggling, trying to conceive, because like any other woman, you feel like, okay, my husband, he's a lawyer and a doctor now. He's making the money. We're living in a huge, beautiful home. We live in a beautiful neighborhood. You want the American dream of having a family from your successful husband. That is just something that all women tend to desire. Okay, so she still struggled, having fertility issues, and like you said, my sister, that was probably because she was stressed out. She was half miserable. But at the same time, she wanted that American dream. And you'll be surprised, there's a lot of women who want that American dream. Some of them are even living the American dream. They got the house, they have the children, they have the mini SUV, soccer mom SUV, and some of them are still miserable as hell. You get what I'm saying? So, that year, Betty got first of 2 abortions. Dan would never ever discuss birth control. She said she was badly traumatized by the death of the firstborn son already at the time. So after 2 unsuccessful pregnancies, 1976, the couple's first son, Daniel, was born. So after these tragic losses in her pregnancies, she was blessed to still have a successful pregnancy with her first son, Daniel, which was born December 1975. And she named their first son after him, Daniel Broderick V. Okay, so she finally gave him that dream of his first son that she's probably been desiring to give to him. Okay, yep, it's not what we think. It's not that rich life. It sure the hell ain't, my sister. So 1978, Daniel left Gray Carey to start his own practice. So at this point, ladies, Daniel is really more on the up and up. He's doing so well now, he doesn't even have to work for another mall practice. He is now able to establish his own. So this man is really successful at this point now. Once you can branch off and start your own business and everything, and it didn't take him long. He was able to do it within 3 years, you know, and that's a big accomplishment. So he started his own practice. With money pouring in, the couple began to lead a more decadent lifestyle, owning 5 vehicles and taking first-class trips to Europe, often paying for the families who accompanied them. There were unlimited funds for trips with the kids, summer camps, etc. I entertained frequently and extravagantly, including 2 to 3 large parties per year, and had people in for dinner at least once each year. So basically, at this point, Daniel Broderick and Betty Broderick, they are living the high life. They're making so much money at this point in which they're able to travel first class. They're flying to all these different countries. They have so much money. They even invited other couples and covered them. Okay. They're traveling, taking their kids to countries that some of us, I'm grown and didn't even get to see yet. Okay. So, they were living very extravagantly. She was having large parties. Everything seemed to be on the up and up. Everything seemed to be gravy. She was living lavishly. Okay. So everything was going really good during this point in time. So we thought 1979, my date of birth, their son Rhett was born. She was able to bless him with yet this is their 4th child at this point. Rhett, the couple's last child, was born in 1979. 1982. This is where it gets interesting, y'all. So, like I said, everything's going gravy. Daniel and Betty Broderick, they're living extravagantly. They got a huge home. They have their children. Everything seems to be on up and up. 1982. Daniel met 21-year-old Linda Kolkena. This is when things take a turn for the worse. This is one of those things that unfortunately it happens way too frequently with men that are very ambitious, men that are very driven. Not all men do this, but some men start smelling their goddamn self. Okay? I would have had to see the books myself, though. He was doing too much. Or I would have had a personal stash going to a private account and one of my kids' name just in case something pops off. Absolutely. But what tends to happen is, I think Betty was so sure of herself, my sister, that she thought she had it in the bag. She thought, like, you got some women that try to secure the bag. You have married women who try to secure the man by thinking having all of their children, you know, some women think that's valid enough to keep a man in their good graces. Well, I am his wife and I am the mother of his children. Well, like you said, my sister, if you're not keeping up with the books, honey, you're not putting something aside for yourself. Hell, least she could have did was went to college. Once he started making his money and all of that, she should have started her own business. She should have started going to college, getting degrees herself. Okay, boo, now that I got you straight, I had to sit and struggle while our children was little for you to be successful. Now it's my time. Now you're making all this money. We're going to put these kids in the child care. We're going to get nannies or something so I can start going to school. I can start doing me. But I really believe, and I got to play devil's advocate, I cannot make Betty Broderick sound like an angel. I can't make her sound like an angel. But I will say, I think Betty Broderick probably got cocky like he did too, my sister, which is probably why things blew up in her face, because we all know that some married women are very arrogant. You feel me? You have some married women that think they the shit, you know what I mean? Because their husbands are making a lot of money, you know, their husbands own their own business and companies. You got some married women who start getting beside themselves, you know, and figure, I got his kids, I'm his wife, we're living extravagant. So she probably didn't feel the need to protect herself, because who's to say, my sincere, she probably wasn't that, she probably was just that sure of him. You get what I'm saying? She probably was just that sure of him and sure of her marriage, because you got some married women that got this, my man, my husband ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere. Especially when you don't put in 100%, you think you're going to get back that 100%. You have some women who are so sure of themselves, so arrogant, think the world of their husbands to where they don't think they got to cover themselves. You get comfortable. Like Angela Bassett said it best in her movie Waiting to Excel. I remember when Angela Bassett said, you become so complacent in your marriage that you stop even looking out for your own self. And that's what Betty Broderick did. So y'all, this is when things took the turn for the worse. This is when the grits hit the fan, as your grandmother would say. 1982, Daniel met 21-year-old Linda Kolkena. And y'all, I'm going to show y'all some pictures because I want y'all to see all of the people that are a part of this story. So Daniel Broderick met Linda Kolkena, a 21-year-old former flight attendant and receptionist, after she got a job at his building. Betty first heard of Linda at a Christmas party when Daniel called her beautiful. In 1983, Daniel hired Kolkena to be his personal assistant. First of all, this already is a red flag when your husband is complimenting another woman in front of you. Even if you think a woman is attractive, you damn near better not say it in front of me, and you better not even look like you think she's attractive. That's just me. But that was a red flag. Then, ladies, he had the audacity in 1983. Daniel hired Kolkena to be his personal assistant. Now, first of all, you done already complimented this woman in front of me. The disrespect, the audacity. Then you turn around and you hire her as your personal assistant. Suspecting that Daniel and Kolkena were having an affair, Betty gave her husband a 30-day ultimatum to fire his new employee. Daniel refused to comply and continued to deny the affair. I thought he was having an affair, but he said he wasn't. And I knew he was, but I wanted to believe him. How often many women don't want to believe that their wonderful, ambitious doctor/attorney husband who complimented another woman in front of your face, only to say, oh, I'm going to hire her as a personal assistant. That's when she should have started her dossier. That way she could divorce him before he divorced her. But no, I'm determined, but no, my sincere, I'm determined to keep my husband, my family together. I'm determined to live that American dream. She wasn't going to establish anything because she really felt like she was going to conquer her husband and keep her marriage together. And you have a lot of women that are like that. And what women have to understand, once a man has his mind made up that he wants to be with another woman, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. You give him all the blowjobs, all the head. You can make him breakfast in the morning, lunch, dinner. When a man starts gaining feelings for another woman, there's nothing you can do. Now, it's one thing, and I'm not saying this to give it a pass. He's smashing a female, but that's it. But once he falls in love with another female, and once he starts, what's up, Angela? How you doing, boo? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Once a man starts catching feelings for another woman, There's nothing you can there's nothing you can do about it. Because what women got to understand, men, they are not emotionally wired like us. Once they start feeling another woman, you can cook, clean, give him head. You do all of that, and his mind is still focused on that other woman. Betty Broderick was trying, and we don't, and this is just we're just giving information based off the timeline, but we don't know everything she ever tried to do to keep it together. And that's probably what drove her to this point, because as a woman, when you know you're losing, when you know you're fighting a losing battle, it starts to take a toll on you. When you're doing everything you can, you're seeing your marriage is sailing off and drifting off like a damn ship in the ocean. You know, like, I don't know if some of y'all ever been on cruises or ever been near ocean, and you see how a boat done got so far out there in the sea that even if you was waving and you wanted that ship to come back and get you, the ship is done already sailed too far out of sea to even turn back around. This is what happens in a lot of marriages. So some women just don't want to lose because they don't want to face the embarrassment. Exactly. Like Ivania Trump said, don't get mad, get off. Some women, it's more the embarrassment, ladies. It's more the embarrassment. Who wants to deal with your mama looking at you funny because your husband don't want you no more? You know, your friends who are your girlfriends who's already low-key hating on you, that you had this life and this wonderful husband that you portrayed him to be. It's very embarrassing when you put these men up here on a pedestal. And I won't be surprised, Betty Broderick, being a woman of luxury and being in love with her husband, she probably kept putting up this front like he was such a great man. And to be honest, most women that are in miserable marriages, they're the ones who tend to brag the most. Because my thing is, if you are sure of yourself and sure of your husband, you don't have to be going around here bragging about your husband and everybody. You ain't got to show everybody every time he buy you a car. You ain't got to post every time he take your ass out to dinner. You ain't got to post every time he send you a rose. It's always extra assholes who be doing all that because they really goddamn miserable. And they trying to convince themselves more than anybody else. It's the image. It's the image of not wanting to be embarrassed, not wanting the image of your family to look tarnished. But let me tell you something. Once these men make up their mind they don't want to be with your ass, they don't care how they embarrass you. I have a family member right now, and I'm not going to say names. Her husband just walked and left. He didn't want to fake the funk no more. One thing about men, when a man don't want to fake the funk, men ain't going to fake the funk. That's where they are more realistic than we are. Women, in many cases, will try to kiki. Everything's fine. Everything's great. What's up, 𝓜𝓸𝓬𝓱𝓪'𝓼? How you doing? Welcome to Mocha's Ladies Lounge. Appreciate having you over here. You got some women, married women, know the ship is sinking, and when kiki, everything is wonderful. Everything is great. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. We're doing so great. We're taking the kids to Europe next year. We're taking a cruise to the Bahamas next year. You want to brag about all this wonderful shit y'all got going on, but at the same time, behind closed doors, you are torn trying to hold it down. And when a man don't want to fake the funk no more, a man will not care about your friends looking at you funny, your family looking at you funny. You have men who will walk out and leave their marriage, and they don't care how they embarrass you when they do it. That's what happened to Betty Broderick. There's a lot of times successful men of his status, as they start making money and start elevating, they want to start trading in women like they trade in cars. Now, you got some men that are going to be dedicated and still be with their same wives no matter how much money they make. You got LL Cool J. You got Ice Cube, who's still with his same wife. Yeah. So I'm guess what? You know what? I'm gonna show the pictures my sister. I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Let me just go ahead and do that right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen, y'all. We're gonna talk about I'm gonna show y'all who Betty Broderick is, and her husband, well, ex-husband, and wedding pictures, all that other stuff. Because I want y'all to get a visual, because all of this was based on a true story. So I'm gonna get ready to share my screen, y'all. So first off, let me see. Okay. All right. So let me do this here. One moment, y'all, because I'm going to share. I want to share these pictures with y'all. Okay. So, okay. All right. So I had to pull it up on my phone so I can make sure we're looking at the same thing. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. Uh-oh. I don't want no double back. Okay. So let me go ahead and share screen. Okay, y'all. All right. So basically, this picture here is the real Daniel Broderick and Betty Broderick. Now, I'm about to show y'all some things that are going to be very interesting. As you can see, this is when they first initially got married. And you can see she's younger there. Matter of fact, she was probably in her 20s because he has her by 4 years. So I'm assuming she's probably about maybe 23 in this picture, and he's probably 27, 26, 27. So this is Daniel Broderick, of course, looking like a damn nerd, looking like he couldn't even get women to be interested in his ass. But nevertheless, here's Betty Broderick. Now, you notice how beautiful she is, how pretty she is, youthful and young she is. Okay? Now, that was when he first got with her. All right? Now, check this out. This is how, make sure I get the right picture. This is how him and the new wife he left her for, the younger wife he left her for. Look at the resemblance. Now look at him. He well dressed now. He got a little looks to him now. Nice looking white guy. He got a little swag. He wearing suits from Brooks Brothers now. I knew a woman that picked a homeless bum and taking care of him. She got pregnant on purpose to keep him around. She buys him a truck, electronics, the latest clothes just to make him happy. Child buy. Oh, it's a lot of them who do that. Lot of them. But check this out, y'all. Look at how he used to look. He went from a dud. Look at how nerdy he looked. And look at how Betty looked. He went from a dud to a stud. Nice looking white guy wearing nice expensive suits. And this is his secretary that he cheated on Betty Broderick with. Doesn't she look very similar? Blonde, youthful. Look at him and her just having a wonderful highlight. He just moving on just as happy. And like this the first time he ever been married. He act like he never even been married before. He just as happy as he want to be. Now, at this point in time, he parading her around. Now, if y'all comment, I may not be able to see y'all comments for a minute because I got to finish telling y'all the timeline as I show y'all the photos. Okay, so at this time, he remember, this is 1982. He's denying the affair. Remember, he just started his own practice. He hired this woman. He hired her as his secretary while he's married to Betty Broderick. Okay, so 1983, Betty attempted to take her own life once again. Now, back to Betty. Once again, and I think, yeah, this is him with the new woman. Now, this is a good comparison. This is side by side. See how when he was with Betty, he took Betty to all of his events. He walked around with her like she was a trophy prize. Now he's doing that, coincidentally dressed up with the new woman. This is enough to make any woman go insane. He's just as happy-go-lucky because he got this young, blonde bombshell, so he thinks, that looks very similar to how his wife looked when she was younger. Now, 1983, she attempted to take her own life. Betty turned 36 on November 7th. Daniel missed her birthday party for an undisclosed reason. We know why the hell he missed her birthday party. He was getting some cake, and it had nothing to do with Betty Broderick's birthday cake, okay? He was making me crazy with the lies. And that's what most cheaters do. They will lie, make you think you don't see what the hell you're seeing. That night, she attempted suicide for the first time, slitting her wrists and taking pills. Now, let me finish reading. 2 weeks later, on November 22nd, Betty visited Daniel's office for his 39th birthday. She found that a celebration had already occurred, and Daniel and Kolkena had left for that day. She returned to their home and burned her husband's clothing in front of her children. Daniel continued to deny the affair. This Negro was still lying. Before he moved to her place, they play a Haim smash a pass. He only loves and wants light-skinned women, but she tries so hard to get attention from him. Oh, okay, you're still talking about, okay, I feel you. So, y'all, at this point, Betty Broderick is reaching for air. She's tried to kill herself, and you know the only reason, y'all, she's been doing this is because she's trying to get his attention. Again, Betty Broderick confronting him about the affair, and he's still lying. He's steady lying. This Daniel and Betty Broderick right here, with their baby. He's steady lying. She's seeing all the signs, and she's asking him, she's confronting him. And one thing about a cheater, anytime somebody's cheating on you, they're going to make you think you're crazy. They're going to make you think you don't believe what you see. Well, you ain't answering your phone. The phone was dead. Well, you said you would be home at a certain time. Something came up. He kept lying, which is adding more fuel to the fire. Because Betty is not crazy. She sees what her husband is saying is not adding up. He's steady lying, knowing he's dealing with this other woman. Okay? So, again, this is Daniel and Betty right here. This is an older picture. Now, even after she confronted him then, and he did not show up for her birthday, which was very unpleasant. He didn't celebrate his wife's birthday. She saw that her marriage was unfolding to the point she attempted to try to commit suicide. She's doing all this because she's crying out for help. She knows she's losing her marriage. She's losing her husband. And the bad part, to add insult to injury, Daniel really don't give a fuck at this point in time. Let's just be frank. He don't care. And he's making it more and more obvious that he really don't care. He's not even trying to play it off anymore. He's being more and more bold with his wrongdoing. He's being more bold with it, okay? So anyway, 1984, the family moved out of the Coral Reef house. While the Coral Reef home underwent repairs, the family moved into a 5-bedroom rental house in La Jolla Shores. Betty never returned to her Coral Reef home. 1985, Daniel moved back to the Coral Reef home. Daniel moved out of the rental claiming he needed some space. Are you freaking serious? Eventually, Linda joined him in the house he once shared with his wife. Are y'all listening to this mess? He had the audacity to move his new woman, this Daniel, and Linda. He moved his personal assistant, who he lied about having an affair with. He moved her into the same home where him and Betty Broderick lived as husband and wife. This dude, wow. Wow. And let me tell y'all something. If y'all see the movie, it'll make you even more pissed off, because this dude, Daniel, had a lot of power in the town they lived in. You know how these attorneys, all these high prestige people, they know each other. These attorneys, these doctors, they know they know other lawyers, they know the sheriff, they know the police precinct chiefs. Daniel had a lot of power. He had a lot of power. He was well respected in the community. He had high prestige. So he felt invincible with doing the stuff he was doing, because he just knew no one was going to stop him. No one was going to say anything to him, not even his wife. So moving on, this is the lie he tells her. He's adding fuel to the fire. After Daniel left, Betty dropped the children off at the father's, one by one, an action that would result in her losing custody during the divorce process. According to the interview with Daniel in the San Diego Reader, Betty would just leave them there with their personal things, their clothes, and wouldn't tell me they were coming, and they just dropped them there. Here, they're yours. You want to be apart from me? Well, see what it's like raising a family by yourself. The children stayed with Daniel. Now, I strongly believe she did not leave those kids on Daniel because she did not want them, because she didn't want to mother him. I think she got fed up with the fact that Daniel gets to move on with his life. He gets to live this new wonderful life with his woman. And probably what happened was, once he got with this new woman, he probably started smelling himself. He probably didn't come around as much. He probably wasn't checking on the kids as much. You know, sometimes when these men get a new woman, they just act totally different on you. They act like they don't really have a lot of time. Not to say he was a neglectful father. I'm sure he probably was still there for his children, but he probably was just so into his new woman that he probably pretty much left it on Betty to pretty much, do most of it on her own. Now, I'm sure Daniel was still giving Betty money. He was providing for the kids, and he probably even came to a soccer game or two. But for the most part, he pretty much left everything on Betty to deal with on her own. So at this point, she's getting frustrated, as any woman would. You ignoring me, you're ignoring the kids because you got this new blonde bombshell that's a resemblance of what I used to look like way back in the day when we were married, and you basically showing your ass and you leaving everything on me. So that was her way of reminding him, don't forget, I still got your kids. You still have a family over here, even though you lied to me, you deceived me, you manipulated me into believing you wasn't dealing with this woman. So I believe that's why she left the kids there. But because Daniel was letting his ego and his prestige get the best of him, he flipped the script like most cheaters do. Most cheaters are manipulators. So 9 times out of 10, he probably told the people she just abandoned the kids and neglected them and didn't want them. When in actuality, she was hurt, she was embarrassed, and he just acted like they really didn't exist too much, And that was her way. It wasn't the right way because it backfired, but that was her way of trying to get back at him for what he was doing to her. So anyway, despite a court order preventing her from entering the coral reef house, meaning she couldn't go back to the house where her and Daniel had together as a married couple and a family. She lost rights to that house, y'all. Betty couldn't go back to that house because him and the new woman lived there, okay? Betty continued to do so. Her behavior became erratic and violent. She smeared a Boston cream pie Kolkena had baked all over Daniel's bed, threw a wine bottle through the window, left angry voice messages on the answer machine, broke a mirror, smashed a hole in the wall, and spray painted the walls and curtains. Now, if y'all watch the movie, it will show you when she broke into his house because she was angry. At that point, all of her frustrations had escalated at an all-time high. How dare you? I mean, women, put yourself in a situation. The house you and your husband had together as a family. He got a rental home, put you in a rental home, only so he could move his mistress, into your new house. All right. I had to get some water. Yeah, that basically for everybody who's coming in or catching a piece or the middle of this stream, I'm talking about the Betty Broderick story. And yes, it is based off a Lifetime movie. If y'all haven't seen the Lifetime movie, there's two parts. There's a part 1, part 2 of the Betty Broderick story. I suggest y'all check it out. Seeing the movie definitely gives you more details as to this content that I'm doing, but that's why I'm doing this content based off that movie. And it just goes to show you how a woman could put herself in a very risky situation when she puts so much into a man and her children that she tends to lose herself, because this is very much what happened. Now, Netflix redid the movie, y'all. You got Netflix, go to your search engine and put in Dear John, and it's a series. Go to the Dear John, the Betty Broderick story. They kind of updated it, so you might like that one better compared to the Lifetime one. I don't know, but check both of them out. They both are really good. So anyway, y'all, going back to the timeline, Betty lost her sanity at this point, because what's going on is Daniel Broderick is riding off into the sunset with his new life, his new wife, which is this woman here. Now, if y'all watch the movie's really good, because because like I told y'all in the beginning, because she's with Betty was with an attorney and a doctor, she was also cool with the attorney, and she was cool with his friends' wives. You know, like how doctors' wives hang out with each other, or lawyers' wives hang out with each other. They do lunches together. Y'all know what I'm saying? It got so bad in the movie, it shows how even the new wife got cool with the wives that she was cool with. That's how messed up it was. This woman took over her life. Let me just put it that way. This woman, she had her house, her husband, her friends, and honestly, even Daniel and Betty's kids, they liked her. They liked the woman. So as Betty Broderick was just seeing this woman just take over her life, just take over, and she couldn't do nothing about it. And Daniel, because of his power, he had a lot of pull in the town where he was. So she really couldn't do shit about it. If she went to the police department, Okay, just file a report. When you with a man that got a lot of power like that, you really can't do shit with nothing. You get what I'm saying? She couldn't do anything. But moving on. So basically, this woman is taking over her life. Y'all Duffy. Y'all got to watch this movie tonight, y'all. Often Betty committed this act with an audience. My little kids will watch this. They'd be crying when I come home. They couldn't control it. I couldn't control it. She kept saying, this is my house. I can come in whenever you like it or not. I don't have to listen to your court order. So Daniel has so much power. He blocked her from being able to even come to her own house, that he lied that he wasn't seeing this woman, and the woman moved in her house. At this point, Betty is feeling defeated. She's feeling defeated. She's not feeling heard. Daniel Broderick is really being a dick at this point in time. I'm just going to be frank. Daniel was an asshole. Daniel so badly wanted this woman. He did not care how hard he had to drag Betty to build his new life with this new woman. Y'all, I'm drinking water, so if I pause in between, I got to start drinking water way more than what I ever used to. So it is what it is. But if you see in the movie, he kept shutting her down. Everything she tried to do to prove a point, he had so much pull and power, she really couldn't do shit. There's pictures of him still with his new wife, y'all. Now, she lost control because she's feeling undefeated. She's gone to the house unannounced, because you got to remember, that house used to be her house. If you watch the movie, you're going to see she breaks into the house, and his fiance, his new woman, baked a nice cake and left it for Daniel. She broke into the house, saw the cake the lady made, and smashed it and smeared it all over the bed in the bedroom. I guess she still had access to the house. I don't know if she still had a key or a security code or what. But she broke into the house because, like, bitch, how dare you take over my life and my house? And Daniel, how dare you let this woman just take over my house? He don't care, because, again, Daniel is so determined to be with this woman. His ego, his reputation, he feels safe doing what he does. He knows nothing is going to happen to him. So he thinks. Daniel has all the cards in his table. He's cool with all the lawyers, so she could probably barely get a lawyer. She's cool. He's probably cool with all the police chiefs and everything. She just had no pull. So 1985, Daniels filed for divorce. And an acrimonious 5-year-long divorce process began as Betty and Daniel fought over their finances and custody of their children. The next several years were riddled with complex legal maneuverings by Daniel and his professional colleagues. Again, because Daniel has a lot of pull. Whenever you marry a man of high prestige, that's why you have some women in the celebrity world, they lost custody of their children. You know, sometimes men with a lot of money, it's a blessing and a curse, because at the same time, when they no longer want you or no longer want to be with you, now they have all the money and assets to ruin you, take the children from you. And if you have not been saving, like my sister Sarah said earlier in the chat, you haven't been saving money, you haven't put bread aside, haven't been doing anything, you got no pull, you can't do much of anything. And that's basically what happened. So the San Diego legal community cooperated with Dan in his campaign to deprive Betty of the couple's shared assets. Dan knew the legal ropes and used them. Hell yeah, he's a lawyer. The worst thing is to divorce a lawyer. Exactly, Angela, my sincerely. That's how much pull he had. She could not do a damn thing about nothing. Betty claimed she could not find competent legal aid. No, because her husband had his own law firm. Nobody was going up against him. Lawyers stick together. She felt isolated and totally powerless. During the process, per her court testimony, frustrated by legal manipulations, Betty continued to act out. She started losing it. Nobody's hearing her. Nobody's trying to take her case. No one's listening. Daniel has all this pull, all this power. She can't do nothing about what he's taking her through. He got all his support, all his backup. She doesn't have any. Remember, this is a small little echelon town. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows Daniel Broderick as this big time attorney, per malpractice attorney. This man has a lot of power. Nobody wanted to help her come up against Daniel Broderick. The man had a lot of pull. So it gets interesting. Let's go move on. In retaliation, Daniel instituted a system of fines that impacted Betty's monthly support checks. Every time Betty broke a restraining order or harassed him, Dan deducted money from her monthly support check. That's how much power he had. He had power to tell the judge, take money out her check every time she act an ass. Dan began to withhold $100 for every obscene word she used. Listen, $250 for each time she stepped foot on his property. $500 for every entry into his house. Wait a minute, that used to be her house too, okay? $1,000 for every time she took one of the children without his permission. At one point, she owed him $1,300. This man was something else. And the movie is very close to everything I'm telling y'all. I remember in the movie, he was taking money out her check every time she called the house about her kids. Girl, y'all don't even want it. Dan was no joke, bro. Dan was off the chain. Going back to the timeline. Betty was also jailed in contempt of court twice. February 1986. Let's go to their house, y'all. Let's go to their house. This was the house, y'all. Hold on, I got to stop sharing for one moment. Hold on. Okay, y'all, I'm back. Let me get back to where we was. So I'm going to show y'all the home. Well, where was that? Where is it? Okay. This is the real life home right here. This is the real house. Now, in the movie, it's going to show this house, but this is the real house. But yeah, as you can see, home where double murders took place for sale. Okay, yeah. So look like they tried to sell it in 2014. This was the real house where it actually happened. I don't know if anyone is living there or not, but this was where looks like yeah, the house actually was up for sale. That's during the home where Betty Broderick killed her husband and new wife. Yeah, so like at some point it was up for sale. But anyway, y'all, this was her mansion. This was the life she was used to living. I think that's the movie house. I'm trying to find the actual house where the murders actually happened. But as you can see, it's a huge house. And okay, here it is right here. And this is in California. I don't know if I will have the balls to stay there, but nevertheless, this is where the murders took place. Now, going back to the timeline. Okay, Daniel sold the family home and relocated to a mansion in the Balboa Park neighborhood with Linda. But he still could not escape harassment from Betty. Betty drove a car. Betty drove a car through his new home. I opened the door to try to pull her out. Daniel recalled to LA Times. As I did so, she reached for a large butcher knife under the seat. Following the incident, Betty was put in a mental health hospital for 3 days. At the time, Betty's parents were visiting from New York. Hearing of the daughter's hospitalization, they boarded a plane for New York and never returned. Guess they never went back. January 1989, the divorce was finalized. The divorce was finalized finally. In the aftermath, Betty lost custody of her children. This is Dan and Betty first wedding picture. Now, y'all, check this out. Look at, okay, this is him and Betty when they got married, right? Now, look how similar his new wife, bruh. Listen, boy. Some of these men got no filter, bruh. Look like this was some type of video or something. This is him and her doing a wedding. And here it is, his wedding with his new woman and all of Betty's children. And he's just as happy, like, oh my gosh. Anyway, and aftermath, she lost her children and also received far less in settlement payment than she reportedly expected. Still, it was a sizable settlement. Betty would receive $16,000 a month and the cash award of $28,000. What the hell is money when this man took your whole family with another woman? During her 2017 parole hearing, Betty told the parole board her whole world fell off its axis when a divorce was settled. I know it did. I couldn't get a settlement and I couldn't get the kids. I allowed the voices in my head to completely take over. Basically, y'all, she lost it. After April 22nd, 1989, Daniel and Linda got married. They got married. And you know, in those little towns like that, people was coming back and telling her, you know, half of her old lawyer girlfriends went to the wedding. Now, if you watch the movie, it'll show you how her friends that she was once friends with when she was married to Daniel, girl, they all went to the wedding. Okay? They went to the wedding too. So she's hearing all of this. I can't remember in the movie if he hired security on a wedding day or not. But I believe in the movie, one of Daniel's friends told him, look, Betty been doing he said exactly like this, but I remember in the movie, one of Daniel's colleagues confronted him and said, look, you might want to get some security because Betty been off the chain, doing some crazy stuff. You might want to get some security or something on your wedding day because she off the chain. Daniel, being his cocky self, was like, ain't nothing gonna happen. We good. I'm not worried about her. My sister, 60,000 a month instead of, I'm sorry, I would have cut my losses, moved and stacked my bread. Yeah. She stayed there, lived there in that city, knowing she was going to keep hearing the stuff he was doing, knowing about the stuff he was doing. And people are vindictive. People want to let you know everything about what your ex-husband got new going on in his life. People could be real insensitive, So anyway, that's when the grit started really heating up. The couple wed in the front lawn of their home. The couple had a wedding in front of their new home. Lord, this is making me mad, and it ain't even me. So they had a wedding in front of the new home. The couple, they wed in the front lawn of their house. By that point, Betty had already threatened to take Dan's life, leaving a voice message that said, "You're making me mad, I'll kill you." Fearing Betty would attend the event, Dan hired security guards. Okay, so for the wedding, he did hire security guards. I remembered hearing about that. So he did. So on the wedding day, she wasn't able to get near him. All right. So moving on. November 5th, 2 days before Betty Broderick's birthday. Remember, me and Betty Broderick, both our birthdays November 7th. November 7th, 2 days before her birthday, November 5th, Betty shot and killed Daniel and Linda Broderick in their home. I'm going to go to the crime scene photos, y'all. So while they thought they was going to live a good, wonderful life and ride off into the sunset, Betty was like, nope. Nope, nope, nope. So this is fair use information, fair use, fair use, fair use. This is one of the photos from the crime scene. Think this is one of the authentic pictures. Betty Broderick. Okay, so yeah, they got a good bit of pictures here. Yeah, so this is from the actual crime scene. On November 4th, Betty received a letter from Dan threatening to take Betty back to court and prevent her from seeing her sons. In the early morning hours of November 5th, 1989, Betty let herself into Daniel and Linda's mansion using her daughter's keys and went to the couple's bedroom where they lay sleeping. Betty fired 5 shots at Dan and Linda, killing them both. Afterwards, she turned herself into the police. She had enough at that point. 1991, Betty was found guilty of second-degree murder. So we come out of here. Betty was found second-degree murder. Betty pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of murder. Her first trial in 1990 resulted in a mistrial as the jury was split between whether Betty's actions were premeditated or not. 1991, at the age of 44, Betty was convicted of 2 counts of second-degree murder and was sentenced to 32 years to life. After the guilty verdict, Betty was incarcerated in the California Institute for Women, where she remains today. Famously, Oprah interviewed Betty in prison, during which she confessed to her crimes on camera. So, what ended up happening was they buried them side by side together. This is Daniel Thomas and Linda Kolkena. Both of them, as you can see, with the grave, both of their dates when they both died together, both November 5th. They buried them together, so they wasn't allowed to enjoy their life together on Earth. So maybe they got to finish it in the afterlife. But damn, they died. They died so enough to protect themselves. Well, damn, they didn't do enough to protect themselves. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah, she snuck her daughter's key, and she snuck her daughter's key and broke into their house. I mean, and it went from there. Betty was denied parole for the second time. She was denied parole. Betty was denied parole in 2017 after already been denied in 2010. Betty Broderick is an unrepentant woman, Deputy District Attorney Richard Shaw said during a hearing, arguing against her parole. In a 2019 interview from a Reels docuseries, Betty called herself a political prisoner for not being granted parole. I have met all criteria for parole and my release date was 2010, Betty said. Now I am only a political prisoner. They have no reason to deny my parole. Betty will be up for parole again in 2032. Now, reading some of the comments. I'm going to read some of these comments here. So depressing. Don't teach your daughter to let a man take care of them. Because 9 times out of 10, they will leave you stranded, helpless, with no consideration for your sacrifices. Somebody else said, I don't think she should have been sentenced. Somebody else said Betty was manipulated and driven out of her mind by the arrogance and sociopathy of a privileged, angry man who saw women as objects to be used and give him babies. Personally, the best part of the series was when he died. Let me unshare this for a minute, y'all. Somebody put the best part of the series was when he died. Personally, the best, I felt bad for the silly receptionist he married. 15 years later, she would have been dumped as well. Sad, sad story. I think Betty should be released. She has paid for what she did. Dan never suffered except for a few moments watching her rage take over. The children suffered the most, more than likely. And you know, the children have been, they've been trying to get their mother's case overturned and everything. But, they said what's been making things worse for Betty is because Betty would not apologize. Betty would not repent. And Betty said, I do not feel sorry for what I did. And she means it with a passion. They've been trying to encourage Betty to apologize, and she refused to do it. Because she said she felt like she had every reason to do it. And she's not going to apologize for that. So, yeah. So, okay, my sister, I totally get it, hon. You've been with me for a while. You hung in there as long as you could. So yeah, I'll leave the playback so you can catch the rest of what you're not going to be able to see. So that's cool. So anyway, ladies, the whole purpose of me doing a content on this particular movie is that you have to be very mindful that you don't be so sure of your marriage. Don't be so sure of your husband where you think they will never fail you and never disappoint you. As a woman, there's nothing wrong with supporting your husband, nothing wrong with supporting your children's dreams. Have a dream of your own, because you never can predict how a person is going to change over time. You never can predict how they're going to feel about you, how they're going to change on you as the years go by. I just think Betty was so sure herself, like a lot of these married women out here are. They feel like, I got the husband, I got the ring, I got his babies, nothing is going to happen. He's never leaving me. You got some women so sure they self, I'm so beautiful, I'm so this, I'm so that, my husband will never cheat on me, he'll never leave me for somebody younger than me. You can just never be too sure of yourself. I mean, it's very important that you just basically have something established for yourself. And even though this is an old movie, this is something I think a lot of women today can still benefit from. Don't think that once you're married and once you have children, you're set for life. Nothing can go wrong. Anything can go wrong. Sometimes these men, they start smelling themselves and their ego gets the best of them, especially when they start making more money. For some reason, when some men, not all men, if it, I'm not saying all men do this, because I know a lot of men who are still with the same wives they've been with when they were struggling, okay, and even when it's success. But you do have some guys, some men that once they start making money, they want to trade in and get a younger honey. And you just got to be prepared for that. If you notice your husband is checking out young women, he's cheated on you, had affairs and stuff like that. The realism of the reality is that he can very well get tired of you and want to trade you in. You have some men, they just get bored of marriage. They get bored of their wives. Marriage is about accepting each other as you age gracefully. Things happen in marriage. You gain weight, you lose hair, you lose teeth, your body goes through things. And if a man and a woman, as a husband and wife, if you genuinely love each other, you will learn to embrace each other's faults and flaws. That's all a part of marriage. The way you meet each other during your 20s, you're not going to have that same woman you had as she gets 40. You're not going to have that same man you had as he get in his 50s. Marriage does bring about changes, but you just have some men who feel entitled because they're making the money and they're providing. They feel like they are entitled to getting some young punani on the side. Or they feel entitled to trade in their wife that they feel done got too old because she's going through menopause or she gained a little weight. He wants to discard her now. He wants to discard her. He wants to trade you in for, his wife to become an 87 Bronco. Now he wants to trade in his 87 Bronco wife for a 2020 Lexus, Lexus 2000 or whatever. You get what I'm saying? So this is a very sad situation. And I just think that Dan really allowed his ego to get the best of him. And all of this was simply because he cheated. He lied. He was deceitful. Now, I will not say that Betty Broderick was right for murdering this man and his wife. That was not right for her to do because her children suffered in the process of it. Her children had to be taken in and split up by other family members. But at that time, Betty was so consumed in her own pain and her own shame, she was looking at what she was losing. And also, Dan was very insensitive to this. He was very, very insensitive. And it probably wouldn't have changed things. She probably still would have tried to kill him. But he shouldn't have kept the lies going as long as he did. She kept asking him. He kept lying. She kept seeing things. He kept lying. Then he moves this woman into the house that they had together. Dan was a very cold man. Very, very cold. He didn't protect himself and he didn't protect his wife. Once he saw Betty Broderick was acting out and she ran her car into their house, he saw enough signs that Betty, it was only a matter of time, Betty was going to hurt him. If he had to get security for his wedding, I don't know why he didn't take proper procedures in protecting his household. Knowing his kids go to visit their mother, while he allowed the kids to go with the keys to his house. He was so cocky. He really didn't think shit was going to jump off. That's basically the bottom line. And you got some people that's like that. They so cocky, they don't feel like he ain't gonna do nothing. Basically, Dan felt like because he had the money and Betty didn't have the money he had. Dan felt like since he had the connections, Betty didn't have the connections he had. He felt like he could piss and shit on her and she was not going to retaliate. And sometimes men with money need to be careful. Don't think because you got a lot of money, you got a lot of pull. Sometimes when a person is feeling defeated, they will take things to the extreme. That is what Betty Broderick did. She didn't have the money, so she used what she could use, which was take him out. Betty Broderick took Dan Broderick out because she felt undefeated. And as the saying goes, when a person ain't got nothing to lose, they'll do anything. He stripped Betty Broderick of so much, she really didn't feel like there was nothing else she could lose. Dan Broderick took the house, took the kids, took the marriage. He left her with nothing. So when you leave a person with nothing and they have nothing to lose, there's no limits to how far they will go. And that's basically what I want to say. So anyway, y'all, I am going to wrap this up. Up. Let me see what y'all got in the comments before I get ready to shut it down. Angela says, I'm trying to put myself in her shoes and picture what I would do. Folks have to remember, people have feelings and you're not invisible. And you know what? I agree, Angela. And honestly, some of us, we don't know our dark side. It wasn't like Betty Broderick been in prison and he met her while she was in prison. This was a normal woman who had a normal life. She didn't come from the trenches. She didn't come from prison. So it wasn't like she was capable of doing this. She was driven to this point. And I kind of wish the courts would have took that in consideration. Like she snapped. I mean, give her time, but I think she should have been out so the kids wouldn't have been affected by it as much, because at least would have had their mother. I think any woman, and you don't know, I found myself in situations where I acted out in a certain way because somebody tried me. And I didn't wake up that morning, oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm going to hurt somebody. Some people will just test your gangster, especially when it's a person you love, especially when it's a person you done been there for. Your enemies are not the ones who betray you. It is the ones you love most of the time. It's the ones you supported most of the time. It's the ones you stood by most of the times that do the betraying. And she just felt really betrayed. She put a lot of years. She put all her children. And he just kept lying over and over and over. Y'all watch the movie. He lied over and over and over 1,000 times. I'm not doing anything. You know when somebody lie, cheating and messing around, whatever, and you asking them and you see the shit, you see the evidence, and they still keep lying? It's not what you think. Got you second guessing yourself. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm too insecure. Maybe I'm just so jealous. He kept lying to that woman. Lying is just adding more, it just adds more damage to the deceit. He was deceitful and a liar. He had no remorse. He was very arrogant. And he was a low-key bully. Some people know how to low-key bully you. They know how to put you in a position in which you have no power, where you can't do shit back to them. He had a lot of power, so she felt the only way to defeat him, she had to take him off to ruin him. She had to snatch him off this earth. That was the only way she could get any power back. The man had too much pull. He had way more money than her. He had way more power, way more pull. He felt defeated. So nevertheless, you know, even when you are feeling defeated, you still don't have the right to take somebody's life, because her taking his life, it cost her life. She's away from her children, who have had grandchildren now. And you don't get to dictate the law. You think you take somebody's life, and because you've been hurt and you've been betrayed, you think the courts are going to sympathize with you enough to not hardly give you any time for you to discover you're going to get time. Because not only she took Dan, but she also took Dan's wife at the time. So it was two families that was impacted by the loss of Dan Broderick and Linda Broderick. Linda Broderick's sister to this day is still angry, you know, rightfully so. But at the same time, your sister was fine taking a married man from his wife. Listen, we all got to deal with the cards we dealt. You feel me? Anyway, y'all, it's been lovely. If y'all do decide to watch the movie, please come back to this live stream. Comment what you think. Comment what you feel would have probably been the best way for Betty to handle the situation. If any guys, if y'all view this, what would y'all have done? If y'all seen your ex-wives acting out because you decided to tiptoe aside your marriage and give it a whole nother woman, what security procedures would you have done? Would you have been honest up front and said, I want to be with this woman, versus lying? What would y'all have done? Again, this is an old case, but I feel all of us could learn from this. Rest in peace to Daniel and Linda Broderick, to the Broderick family. Also to Linda's family. You know, it's still a loss either way it goes, you know. And all of this is really Dan's fault. It's Dan's fault, the way he handled it. He was being deceitful, and he was lying. So this is where we are. So anyway, y'all, thank y'all for hanging out with me. Anybody who wants to donate to my movement, you are more than welcome. I'm not begging for cash apps. That's only if you want to. I'm not going to take away anything or whatever, or shorten my live streams because people won't donate or whatever. So anyway, y'all, make sure y'all like the video. Please make sure you hit the thumb ups before you leave. I'm more concerned about likes with this channel. I'm trying to make this channel grow more. This is my Mocha's Ladies Lounge channel, content for women, where we talk about marriage, we talk about different issues as women, something that we all could relate to. You know, this is about positive energy. This isn't about bashing men, dragging men to you know, type of content. I'm not on that energy of empowerment. I feel like empowerment comes from women building confidence within themselves. You don't have to tear down other women to feel confident as a woman. You don't have to tear down other men as a woman to feel confident. Confidence comes from living in your truth, being yourself, being authentic, not following the trend, not willing to fake it to make it just to appease and draw the interest of certain people who are popular or whatever the case is. So that's what I'm about doing. I'm about showing and improving. So make sure you like, you share, you subscribe, hit the notification bell, so in the event I upload any videos, y'all will be the first to see it. So anyway, y'all, I'm gonna get ready to shut it down. It's definitely been wonderful, but I'm gonna also share a little something for I shut it down. Let me see. Go to this. All right, y'all. It's been cool, but I'm gonna go ahead and share this. And once this ends, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. But I'm gonna go ahead and share this right quick. What's up, everybody? Southern Chick Creation makes customized tumblers and t-shirts for special occasions. Tumblers can be made with your favorite NFL sports team, high school sports teams, other sports, whether soccer, golf, fishing, wrestling, etc. Law enforcement personnel, baby showers, bridal showers, Father's Day, Mother's Day gifts, wedding anniversaries, cancer awareness, private organizations, commercial and private owned businesses. Tumblers can be made with your favorite artists, cartoon characters, memorial tumblers for loved ones that have passed away, and endless events and occasions. Southern Chick Creations creates their own special images so that no one will have a tumbler exactly like the ones you order. Tumbler prices are $20 and up, plus shipping fees, which can vary from $8 to $13. Tumblers come with plastic straws, but stainless straws are an additional $2 per tumbler. Orders are accepted via email and text messages, so orders are placed on file. Payments are accepted via PayPal, Cash App, and Zelle. Payments must be received before tumblers are officially made. Customers will receive a display of tumblers before they actually have to purchase to get a visual of tumbler before payment. This is to ensure a customer of the replica image of the tumbler. I also make tumblers for gifts and gags and specialized tumblers such as my Coach bag or Michael Kors tumblers. Our tumblers with whipped toppings are added accessories of $35 and up. If you have a special person you would like to get a gift, or you just simply want a tumbler for yourself, email your order at cafedeparis79@yahoo.com. That's CAFEDEPARIS79@yahoo.com. Also, tumblers are made of great quality, preserving cold drinks with ice for up to 8 hours and hot drinks for up to 6 hours. So they are great for traveling. Support Southern Chick Creations and make your purchase today. Style with Southern hospitality.